welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be talking about Boy Kills World. So let's get into that. Hi, my name is Leo, and if you guys like talking about anything movies, TV shows, or video game related, or just anything nerdy, you have come to the right place. Join in the Nerd Talk family. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know your excitement about Boy Kills World. Were you guys interested in the movie? Were you guys not interested in the movie? Let me know in the comment section down below all your thoughts about this film. And without further ado, let's get into the review. Now, starting off with the pros, I will admit I wasn't really too familiar with the Boy Kills World. Let me preference with, I'm not sure if this was a video game before or like a graphic novel, comic book, or just a book, or whatever the case may be. I feel like I've heard the Boy Kills World title before, but I just don't remember where I've heard it from. And when I looked it up, I couldn't really get a clear answer if this was an original story or if this is an adaptation of something. But without going any further on that, I wasn't able to find that, but I do really enjoy the story that we get here. And this is a directorial debut by, I believe, a Martise Moore, I think the name is. I do really enjoy the world that they build here. I think he has a very unique direct style. The directing might not be purely on his skill, because this is kind of definitely a very outgoing movie. There's a lot of colorful visuals, a lot of gore, a lot of style that comes with the story that he's trying to build here, with the world that he's trying to build here. And I think that they did a good job directing this kind of world and giving you a lot of different sub stories and building out this world that we're in and building out the characters and kind of being very fun with it. This is a very fun world while being a very action-packed, blood-filled, gory kind of movie in a way. This is still a very fun world to kind of live in, because this is an action adventure comedy movie, and I think they find a very good balance between the action, the blood, the gore, the fighting, and having also the comedy. I didn't know if it was gonna work for me right off the bat, where you have Bill Skarsgård's character that doesn't actually speak on camera. It's just kind of all of his head is kind of like a monologue the entire time. He's just speaking into the microphone, and you're just hearing his voice over what's going on. It's meant to be like you're hearing his thoughts the entire time. And I didn't know how I felt about that at first, but as the movie goes on, I really enjoyed it. And Bill Skarsgård does an amazing job of showing his emotions purely off of his facial expressions, and him being also a deaf character. He does a very good job of kind of portraying that and convincing you of that, where when other characters are talking, he's trying to look at their mouths because he's a very good lip reader. So I think he does a good job on just portraying someone that can't hear and can't speak, as well as having very good facial expressions to kind of emote what he's feeling. And then I'm not sure if he's actually the one speaking over everything that's going on, but if he is, he has this kind of cool, badass voice that he kind of picked up from a video game that I thought was pretty interesting. And that whole kind of voiceover that he does, if like I said, if he's the one that does it, that's where a lot of comedic relief kind of comes from. There's still some from other characters, but he has very funny little one-liners and some confusion that he kind of utters as we're going through these action sequences that get a pretty good chuckle out of you. So there's a little bit of good comedy relief while still having a very action-packed adventure story. And while this movie is very outgoing and out there with the action and the blood and the gore and the comedy and kind of the silliness and playing into that silliness, it still has a pretty interesting story that you're kind of invested in right from the beginning. There is kind of a little bit of an information dump right at the start. That's why I kind of was hesitant of the whole voiceover thing. But once that kind of goes by, there is a very compelling story that you're going through here. And since you're pretty much in the mind of Bill Skarsgård's character, you don't know too much beyond that, because that's all you kind of get as information. And once we get towards the end, where they start throwing in the twist and everything, well, the twist could be a little bit easy to kind of snuff out, which we'll get into a little bit later. Once you get that information dump at the end, it all ties in together, and it's kind of a very satisfying full through line of where his mind has been this entire time and how things just get turned on its head right at the end. So I really enjoyed the way they did that whole sequence of how he starts, the middle, and towards the end. It's definitely a very solid through line that definitely worked for me at the end, where I didn't think it was going to work towards the beginning. And this is kind of just a classic revenge story that we've seen many, many times, where you have some tragedy in your life, people were killed, and you're going after the people that you're going that killed the loved ones that you've had. And like I said, this one has that twist towards the end where that kind of gets thrown on top of his head. But while being a very classic revenge story, I think it does have its own style and visuals and comedy that kind of helps it stand up on its own, as well as kind of implementing this whole thing with his little sister, because his to him, his mother and his sister were murdered by a certain person that's kind of controlling this whole city. And he keeps getting visions of his little sister because they were very close when they were children. And she's kind of like that person that helps him stay balanced, where she doesn't know what's going on because it's all in his head. He's trying to depict a perfect image of his little sister, but even in his own head, he kind of second guesses himself of what he's doing, and that gets betrayed of the visions that he sees in little sister, where she's telling him not to go too far, not to be violent, don't kill a certain person. And it kind of keeps him balanced because it's kind of his own thoughts being manifest into his sister. And I think that was kind of a unique element. And I think the child actress that portrays his little sister did a fantastic job as well, pretty much across the board. I definitely enjoyed all the different actors and actresses that were here. Even like the villains that we're seeing the entire time. There are some that are very interesting, some that are actually very menacing, and you kind of feel that threat that they're trying to portray here. And this whole little thing that they do, the culling, where they kill people that they think are trying to take down their family, is a very wacky kind of Hunger Games esque kind of feel, the way they kind of portray, because it's kind of like a dystopian city where they just take people every year and they display them for people to get killed in front of and stuff. So it kind of has that Hunger Games esque feel to that. But I do like how this family is kind of larger than life, and all the different kind of people that are a little bit more poorer and in the lower levels of the city and stuff kind of are treat them as like gods, and they want to be like them, and they love them because of all these different things that they do. They don't really get too much into what they do and why they took over the city, but I think it's kind of funny how they try to portray themselves to the city as being kind of people that have given them so much and they should be grateful to them, but they're very sinister in the back end, and how they try to find people that are trying to take their family down, and they do this, like I said, this ceremony where they kill them in front of a group of people. So that was a whole interesting side of the main villain throughout the entire movie. It actually felt like a villain, and they're actually pretty much a big threat to our main character here. And of course, with this movie being an action movie, let's talk about the action. And I thought it was done very, very well. The choreography was amazing. I thought the way they shot a lot of the action was really good. They used a lot of different styles where they got a little bit more close combat and did a lot of the choppy cut action, or they did a more wide shot where they're doing these swooping shots and everything, or they even did one where they're just facing Bill Skarsgård's character and he's mowing down all these bad guys. So they did a lot of different styles of action and had very good choreography, really good gore. There is some CGI blood that's not the best, but there are some practical effects that do pretty well, and the the slaughter and blood gore that you get here from the action, I think is done pretty well, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was super awesome. Bill Skarsgård did an amazing job. He had an incredible physique. He definitely played the part very well, and I really enjoyed all that action-packed awesomeness that we got. And lastly, I also just really enjoy the score. I think the score that was implemented into here definitely fit with everything that was going on, and I think it enhanced a lot of the different scenes. So I really enjoyed the score. I really enjoyed the soundtrack, especially, like I said, that goes with all the visuals that you see, all the different gore, all the action. It just amplified everything that you're seeing on screen. So I really enjoyed the music as well. Well, that being said, let's go ahead and get into the cons. And there's not much here because I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, but a couple of things. One, the twist at the end. I thought the twist was good in what they were trying to do, but I do think at a certain point, it became kind of obvious of what the twist was going to be. And I wasn't really surprised about the main twist. I was surprised at a lot of things that happened after the twist was revealed. So like I said, I'm not gonna get into spoilers and tell you what the twist is, but the twist itself was a little lackluster. But it did kind of bring me back in and bring me back in of what happens after the twist is revealed. That actually did shock me a little bit. Also, speaking of the twist, after the twist happens, I feel like the movie gets a little long-winded. The end fight, the end boss fight, and end sequences, I feel like take a little too long. If this movie was maybe 15 minutes shorter, I think it would have been perfect. That runtime would have been perfect. So the ending felt a little long-winded than I would have expected, because I felt like the movie was so fast-paced, and then the last like 20, 30 minutes felt like it slowed down. Even though there was a lot of action and fighting going on, overall the movie felt like the pace slowed down for some reason. So I think, like I said, about 15 minutes shorter, I think the movie would have had a perfect runtime. And lastly, I kind of mentioned it earlier, some of the CGI gore effects and blood effects didn't look all that great. You can kind of dismiss it just because of the style of the movie. It's very, bombastic and big and colorful and silly at certain times. So you can kind of look over that CGI blood, but it still didn't look that great in certain aspects. And this movie does have an end credit scene that is not that significant, so you can skip it if you don't want to wait, because it's not a mid-credit scene. You have to wait until the credits completely roll all the way through. It's not that significant of an end credit scene. It may kind of seem like it sets up a sequel, but who knows if this movie does well. I feel like I haven't really heard anybody talking about it since it's released. I haven't really looked at anybody's review, so I'm not sure if people are enjoying the movie at all. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but if the movie doesn't do that well, we'll probably never see the light of day of a sequel. I hope it does well, because I did enjoy what this director kind of gave us and what the story gave us. But that end credit scene, like I said, didn't really feel significant. It was kind of just like a little fun end credit scene to enjoy. So if you want, you can skip it, watch it later on YouTube. I'm sure it'll be on there at some point. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. The bad parts did not ruin all the good parts. I thought this movie was super action-packed filled. I really enjoyed all the acting, all the gore, all the fighting, all the sequences. I enjoyed the story. So I definitely recommend going out and taking a look at this movie in theaters. It was definitely a fun time. And if you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. But again, if you guys like Tom Worthing movies, TV shows, or video game related, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And out of my rankings, I definitely say this movie is a go out and watch it. And I'll see you guys on the next review. Thank you.